There, you there?
Yeah. I just watching you and you're like, just waiting for, like, I sent the request.
I did it.
Sorry, the lights here are a little glary. Steve's doing a, I don't know, some divorce family thingy. I don't know.
Okay.
If anybody wants to check it out, I think they're airing it on Facebook. It's like a live 2 hour thing.
Okay.
So I just came down here.
Okay.
Anyways, hi everyone. It's Samantha Graff Benmore and Cheryl Graff, and also known as the Graff Girls. And we decided that we would address buyers in our episode today. And we were going to just sort of visit a checklist that we sort of resort to at times. And if anybody wants it, we're happy to share it. So some things for a buyer to consider. The first one, and then Cheryl will speak to it, I'll just address it. It's to do your research. So Cheryl, you want to speak about doing research?
I think what it is then, when you start looking, obviously everybody has a list and it's your A list, and you have everything what you want for hoping to be able to get what features you want to have in the house. And you start saying what is going to fit your criteria, as well as the neighborhood where you want to go. Because you want to be sure, is it close to work? Is it the cultural background where you want to be? Does it have the schools, whether it's private or public schools? Do they fit your needs? And I think another thing is you have to be realistic, because it's great to be able to dream that, you know, you're going to have this very large home with all the features, but when it gets down to it, the budget will allow you to have so much.
Okay. Another thing we want people to really keep in mind is that even though we might be in a market where things aren't selling necessarily as fast, you definitely want to have your finances in place. Be pre-approved. If you need somebody, please let us know. We have our preferred mortgage brokers that we're happy to share with you. Otherwise, please be sure to go to whoever it is that you feel most comfortable with, because the sellers at this time are definitely, let's be real, they're a little bit frustrated and though they're also have their feet in the ground. So you definitely don't want to cause any friction there if you want to come to a meeting of the minds, as we say. So it would be really beneficial for you to definitely have your finances in place.
And I think going along with that is to be pre-qualified. You really need to be in touch with your lender and be sure that all the check boxes are checked.
And if you were pre-qualified, pre-qualified, 3 months ago, maybe check in with your lender again now, because things might have shifted for you and you don't want to get caught, that's for sure. So I think it's definitely important to do that. Sorry, I'm like not in my usual seat, so I'm trying to figure. I feel like it's all face. Anyways, we.
I think you have to also be sure you're working with someone who you're comfortable with, who's with you about what's realistic for you. I think Samantha and I, every time we've gone out with the buyer, we always say, okay, in this price range, if we were put their shoes on, would this be suitable for them? So you have to really be able to be open and honest. Sometimes they may think you're being a little harsh, but you're being realistic, and that's, what you have to do, because the experienced realtor, whomever it is you decide to work with, should know the area where you're moving into. They should be familiar with transportation, with the schools, with the neighborhood, what it has to offer. And if you have young children, are there other young children moving into that neighborhood, or is it a mature area that's starting to turn over? So I think that's important as well.
I think that going in line with the experience tends to be honesty. At this point, I mean, Cheryl more than I even, but you know, I've seen the complications of 2008. I've seen the complications of 9/11, and of course now COVID. Cheryl's seen the interest rates being at 21, was it?
21.
Is that right? Okay. Like, honestly, like, you know, we're here complaining about 5, 6%, you know, and things are at 21. So I think that that experience in going through challenging markets where you didn't just put a sign in the ground, put it on MLS, have an offer date, and it comes. I think that patience is really important. I know I'm flipping over a little bit to the seller side in this case, but that does help you as the buyer actually to know where the seller is coming from. And it's very hard for a lot of sellers right now to wrap their head around the fact that 1 year ago, they might have gotten a different price than they're getting right now. 6 months ago, they might have even got a different price. Now, that being said, I think also going back to the comment about being realistic, not only about what you can afford and what you're going to get for that money, but going back to being realistic about where the market is. And you're not stealing anything in this market. Don't kid yourselves. You live in Toronto, or you hope to live in Toronto. Maybe you don't even live here. And you are looking to own something in Toronto if you don't already. You are not stealing anything. It's a marketplace, and the numbers are realistic. And another thing I want people to be that's very time sensitive, I would say, to this market is try your best offer. A lot of sellers have their homes priced at a reasonable price where they are looking for an offer and they may accept something a little bit less. How much, we don't know. But we really are in a place where buyers aren't feeling pressured to buy anymore, and they are taking their time to find out later. And Cheryl just got a call from a potential buyer for us with this situation where they were working with another agent and the house sold for a price that the agent said it would never sell for. Well, you know what? You don't know if you don't try.
And I think what it is going along with that is that you have to know your moving timeline. Like, when are you going to move? Because it's not an instant thing. It's not like, okay, I decide I'm going to move. You have to plan ahead, because are you going to sell first or are you going to buy first? So it's, you know, is it the right time? It's always the right time to buy, because the sooner you buy, the quicker your investment will start to grow for you. And don't ever think if you bought a month or 2 or 3 ago, you overpaid. You didn't. You just paid what the market value was. And it's cyclical. So it's going to go in cycles. You're in your home for the next 3, 5, 7 years. Enjoy it. And the time will come when you're ready to make a move up, or there's a change in your job, or for whatever reason you want to move again. You will reap a reward no matter what you paid for it a year ago or not.
At the end of the day, the right time is the right time for you. And each situation is unique. No different if we were actually selling the exact same house. And yes, there are some developments that might be pretty much exactly the same, but there's not that many that are actually situated the exact same. They have the exact same view, the exact same exposure to light, all these things. There's always something a little bit different. And, you know, in the case of a lot of the areas that Cheryl and I tend to work with, actually, they're not cookie cutter homes. Once upon a time, they might have been. but now they have different renovations and different attributes because of where they're located exactly on the street. And going back to the comment about what Cheryl said about, in hindsight, you think you overpaid, and just to address some, I guess we'll call them past buyers as opposed to buyers right now, or people who have bought and they haven't closed yet. Just think about the fact, A, if you had a house that you sold in that marketplace, you bought and sold in the same market. So don't feel bad about your purchase. Another thing to think about is you do have a deposit. You put a deposit down. Your deposit that you would be leaving on the table if you are considering trying to get out of the deal is probably going to be more than what you would have paid less in this new market, if you want to call it that.
I think an important thing is going on to another point in buying is everybody's there to give you advice. So certain times you have to close your ears to certain people, because just think of yourself, your family, and your needs. Because what it is, it's really one or two people that you're going to listen to, and they have your real interests at heart. And you have to realize also that real estate is an investment. Yes, it's for your home and it's for your family. And somebody told me this once, and I do believe it. You can never put a price on your family home or your family. You just cannot. So whatever you paid, you never overpay for your family.
And another thing is, everybody knows that first of all, the other thing we should also address is sort of the difference between the marketplace of stocks versus homes, and thinking of them as long-term investments. It was actually interesting. Somebody said to me recently that, the stock will go up and down, and, they preferred to own a house, even though you could potentially maybe make more money in that stock, but it's just paper. So you don't physically feel it.
You have to pay tax on that. You don't pay tax on your primary residence.
Yes, and that's one of the biggest things that we all know
For
now. For now.
For now.
So you do want to think long term. Don't always think just right now, as much as maybe in psychology and some other things, you're supposed to keep your mind in the present, because they say anxiety exists in the past and the future. But let's stick to marketplaces and real estate. And right now, you do want to think a little bit long term. And, look, we might have a different answer for you. And this is why I say every situation is unique to itself and to you and your family. In that, if you told me that you're going to be possibly up and moving in the next year, then we have a different conversation than the person who is buying a family home with maybe one child, pretty much knows they're going to have one other child. So you know what? A 3-bedroom home is okay for at least 5 to 6 years. That's a different conversation than the person that tells me they might be upping and leaving the city in 1 year. So always be sure to have those conversations and to, yes, think long term.
And I think you also don't forget that if you're buying, always have a pre-home inspection, simply because you want to know how to negotiate. If the seller didn't have one, or if you feel it's a conflict of interest because it was done on behalf of the seller, you can speak to that inspector, and they will walk you through the inspection.
And we highly recommend that, actually, if you don't want to do your own. Yeah.
And if it's a home that needs a lot of renovation, then you may say, it's fine, I'm going to fix it all, so I'm willing to do that. But if it's a newer type home, you just want to know if things have been maintained, because you don't want to have any surprises, because all of a sudden there could be a $3,000 to $10,000 bill that you weren't anticipating. So it's always good to keep in mind what the costs are for repairs after the closing. And because the pace of the market, it's not as quick as it was before, but you have to be prepared. You see something, you like it, go for it, because it may not be there in 2 or 3 days, or if you find out it's sold for a price you would have been willing to pay, then don't be disappointed with it. And there are certain areas in the city that are still having multiple offers. So you have to be ready to compete and feel comfortable. Your agent will tell you what the sales have been in that neighborhood, so you're making an educated offer.
At the end of the day, the house is worth what it is worth to you. And sometimes people start to get so caught up in, especially in this marketplace, when there's been a ton of media on prices dropping and this and that. You also listen to the verbiage and speak to a realtor about that verbiage, because the number of properties that are coming to market are still limited. You still have a supply and demand issue, and that is affecting the prices. It's taking and just as something for the sellers and for the buyers, it is taking a little bit longer to sell a home these days, but the activity is high because of the lack of supply. We have 2 listings right now, only out for, one's been out for about a week and a bit, and the other one's been out for 3 weeks maybe. And the amount of showings is unbelievable.
They are both homes that do need renovations. So it's just getting the right person in who's willing to take on a project. Yes. But we feel that we're getting close because the interest is there and the qualified buyers are definitely coming out.
And they are priced for market. They're priced for the market value. But again, like we said, show your clients it, ask us to see them. If you don't have an agent, definitely go and take a look, and be sure to try, because you don't know if you don't try. So,
and I think you shouldn't second guess yourself simply because you know why. You have to think about why you really went out there to buy a home. And usually it's because, well, it could be an investment, but majority of the time it's for the family. And like I said, you can't put a price on family.
And sorry, I was also going to say, not every home is going to be exactly what you want. So that kind of goes back to the point that we made about be realistic about what you're really looking for. It's not going to be perfect. We all know nothing in life is perfect, except my mother. But, we have to accept certain things, and usually actually when you accept those things, you're actually able to modify them to a level that you never thought that you would be able to.
Right. So with those tips for buying, we hope it's helpful. And if you want to talk about it, you know where to reach us at thegraffgirls.com. Samantha, Cheryl Graff. Have a good day, everybody.
Have an awesome Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Yep. It's always Tuesday when we're on here.
Tuesday's here.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.